And after that, I have quarantined myself at my house in Istanbul. Thankfully, I overcame the disease with minimal symptoms. During the quarantine, I continued my work from home. During this process, I have received prayers and best wishes from my nation, and I thank from the bottom of my heart to all of them. I would like to also thank colleagues who have called me personally or who have shared their messages of recovery. For instance, the Speaker of the Parliament, Shentop, or Mr. Bahçeli, the leader of MHP, and Mr. Kılıçdaroğlu, the head of CHP, and the head of İYİ Party, Akşener, and all other party leaders, executives, members of parliament, business people, representatives of NGOs. I would like to thank them on behalf of myself and my family. Again, many country leaders have called to express their wishes, or I have answered to their messages. I would like to also thank the President of Azerbaijan, Mr. Aliyev, the Iraqi Prime Minister Kazimi, Israeli Head of State Herzog, the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus President, Mr. Tatar, the Turkmenistan Head of State, Mr. Berdimuhamedov, and Iranian President, Mr. Reisi, the Libya Prime Minister, Beybe, and Iraqi Speaker of the Parliament, Mr. Halbusi, and Bosnia, from Bosnia, İzzet Begovic, the Abu Dhabi Crown Prince, Mr. Bin Zayed, Mohammed bin Zayed, and the Sudanese Council Chair Burhan, the Polish President, Mr. Duda. I would like to thank all of them in the order that they have called, as I've listed, for their wishes. I would like to also thank the heads of 23 countries and international organizations and 26 representatives for their calls and their best wishes. During the quarantine, I have continued my work, and on different occasions I have talked to different people from different different provinces, and based on that I had the chance to follow many issues directly, and I have also run state and government works closely, and I have given the necessary instructions and provided the guidance. After my test proved negative on Friday, I have met with representatives of Turkic states, and we have shared our common agenda and discussed some of the work that we will do together at the Vahdettin Köşk in Istanbul. On Friday, our Ministry of Trade and Finance announced in a meeting with the business spheres about the new steps that they would take in our economy, and I had a live connection to that meeting. During this meeting, we have announced decreasing the VAT in food products to 1% from the previous 8%, which would mean a 7% decrease in label prices, and we have shared this good news with the nation. In, for instance, tea, coffee, water, meat, milk products, dairy products, different types of cheese, oil, sugar, and sugar-containing products, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and different beans are some of the frequently used food items daily. And the VAT discount includes these items, and I hope that it will be helpful for our country and the consumers. This includes all processes of food. For that reason, this VAT change represents our dedication in fighting against inflation, and this is a step that we took as a state. In Istanbul's meeting, from our business spheres, we have heard from representatives, we have expressed to them that we expect a decrease, a discount of at least 14% from them, 7% coming from the VAT decrease. Our ministry will follow closely whether this VAT decrease is reflected on prices and will impose necessary sanctions if it's not. We are all on the same ship and we all benefit from the gainings of our country. That means we will have to overcome, we have to shoulder the burden together as well. We cannot only expect for the state to do its part because this will not be realistic nor sustainable. On the other hand, within the same meeting, under three different titles, we had discussed the details of the credit guarantee fund amounting to 60 billion, and we shared details with about this to our business peers. I believe this package will contribute to production and I hope it will be auspicious for our businesses and our industries. Also, we shared our roadmap about bringing back into economy the gold which is stored at homes. All of our citizens are invited to make use of this opportunity. On Monday and Tuesday, we organized a visit to the UAE. We carried out an official visit to Abu Dhabi and we have also attended the Expo 2020 Dubai, Turkey National Day. During my visit, we have signed a total of 13 agreements in different areas, which which strengthens the contractual base of the relations between our countries. The Turkey-UAE relations were stagnant for a while, and this visit brings a new momentum, and I'm sure this will yield positive and auspicious results for both countries. In the future, starting with including the Gulf world, we will continue our close contacts with other countries which can contribute to Turkey's growth. In today's cabinet meeting, we discussed some important items on the agenda and we discussed the roadmap of the new period. As you can see, we continued our services to our country and nation and we continue working even harder. During the quarantine, the most important deficiency that we have detected was the lack of a strong, realistic and conscious link between the past and present of our country. But in the past 20 years, Turkey has made great progress, and without that, our 2023 goals or 2051 vision cannot be pursued fully. So here I will only mention a few points in order to show you the progress that our country has made. When we came to office, the population of our country was 65 million. The infrastructure of our country, from education to health or from justice to security to agriculture. In every area, there were problems of many years. There were many deficiencies and shortcomings that were crushing us. From fundamental rights and freedoms to security, and in many other areas, we had challenges on top of this. The infrastructure movement that started in the initial years of the Republic and the democracy hope with the multi-party regime was blocked by coup attempts and terror, and it has left its place to a life of lethargy. And we now have a country which is at odds with its past, and there is a small minority who is representing external powers, and a Turkey which is put in shackles. Every child that we have should have access to education, and every citizen should have access to a high quality health service, and they should be able to go to sleep comfortable about their security, and in the public and on the street they should be treated in a way that respects their values, and all 81 of our provinces should have waters, highways and electricity infrastructure at a similar standard, which means having a life in line with human dignity. We had such challenges in the past until we came to the present level. Especially the young people who have not witnessed those times have a difficult time understanding these facts, but when we compare the previous Turkey to today's Turkey, anyone which if you do a it's all of our duty to do a healthy and conscious comparison of this. Only by living the present day we cannot have a secure perspective for our future. Of course we may have priorities. In the past our security was our priority, and for that we fought against terror. In the past our priority was protecting our sovereignty rights and the besieges that targeted our freedom and our future. In the past, our priority was to fight against the unemployment which caused us to go to other countries to find subsistence, or it was the lack of political stability, or internal lack of peace, or internal strifes. In the past our priority was such poverties and deficiencies which we had in every aspect of our lives. It was a challenge to travel from one part of the country to another, or to travel within the city, and it was a luxury to have the means that are normal in our age. The tap water, or the lamp, or the phone to call people, or having new clothes every year, or having food for the winter were good news in the past, in past times that we experienced. But today we have spread to the whole world an education opportunity from preschool to university level. Now we also have city hospitals which are admired by the whole world. We have increased the total length of our highways to more than 28,000 kilometers of divided ways, and we have 56 airports. We have tripled our installed energy capacity to 100,000 megawatts, and we have enabled thousands of families to have hundreds of thousands of families to have social housing and national gardens in every city. We have increased the local production ratio of our defense industry up to 80%, and we have reached every destination in the world. We have increased our exports to $255 billion. We have increased fivefold the guest capacity of our tourism industry by improving the hospitality infrastructure, and we have achieved high growth rates. And with this we continue going to our targets, and we're making progress towards becoming one of the top 10 economies of the world. Thankfully, our country, thanks to the strong infrastructure that we have installed in the past 20 years, Turkey was able to pass all of these thresholds. We have a service infrastructure more developed than some of the most developed countries in the world. Today we have a Turkey which does not allow any terror activity inside the border, and is able to follow step by step the terror organizations outside its borders. Today, we have a Turkey where citizens are at ease about their security, a rule of law, and a Turkey of free individuals which enjoy their fundamental rights. We have political, military, diplomatically, we have a strong Turkey both in the world and its region, with a high quality, high acceptance passport. And in every area we have a Turkey which also is an assurance to the security of all of its allies and its partners. During the pandemic, in every area, starting with health, were able to witness such facts together. The global health and economic crisis affected developed and developing countries alike, but during this time period, as Turkey, we continued increasing the bar and increasing our targets. Even the developed countries were unable, had challenges in protecting the subsistence and employment of their citizens, but we continued growing with exports and employment and investment, so we differentiated ourselves from the rest. So I would like to express and underline once again that as a government, at the focus of our economy program, we have protecting the employment of our citizens and to create new employment areas continuously and to increase employment. Today, we have a population of 85 million. Compared to 20 years ago, our population has increased by 20 million and the workforce grew from 20 million to 34 million. We have the highest workforce participation ratio of our history, and we increased employment from 19 million to about 30 million. In the initial months of the pandemic, the workforce participation was 29, had dropped to 29 and 25 million respectively. During this time period where the world closed itself off, we have followed a different policy to support production and individuals. Despite the fluctuations of the foreign exchange rate, we did not compromise on our policy. Investment, employment, production, exports, and current surplus-based economy program was applied in a decisive way, and we have compensated very quickly for the losses of the initial months of the pandemic, and we have overcome. We have exceeded our targets. We grew as the world shrank, and we reached new record highs in exports and growth. And as a result, during our times in the office, more than 15 million people have been provided with employment to work with, or we have provided them with salaries. In summer months, tourism, construction and agriculture will gain more speed, and they will provide further employment. Of course, there are challenges posed by high cost of life. Of course, on the street or in the marketplace or in stores, there are price increases which sometimes hurt us, but you can rest assured they are temporary and they are only limited to the current time period. We have increased the wages of the retired people as well as people on minimum wage, and we have offered loans for shop owners so that we can mitigate the burden that these costs had on the lives of our citizens. But as we discuss this, we should also not overlook the fact that the decrease in purchasing power can be compensated after a while, but the lost peace or employment or time is much harder to recover. And during such time period, what matters is to have an employment or a wage that can support one's life. What matters is to not have embarrassment towards oneself and family. And what matters is to stand proud in our region, which is facing challenges, or to not lose the ground on which we can look to the future securely. For that reason, factories should continue operating, the stores should be open, the roads should be full of trucks carrying goods, and car and house sales should continue, and life should continue flowing in a vibrant way. If there is a blockage or going back or collapse in these areas, only then we can say that we have disaster on our doorstep. Thankfully, we are not facing such a situation. We only have the problem of high inflation, and hopefully we will we will overcome it as well, and we will see it decrease every month. We offer strong infrastructure and great projects, industry, security, and diplomacy to our citizens. We have 20 years of such achievements. For that reason, we rest assured. Turkey has become a country which is able to employ more than 30 million of its citizens. We did not do this like the developed countries did by creating debts that would impose their nation for decades to come. From Europe to America, all developed countries and the most developing countries have an important challenge for the future. This crisis and the problem point that they face is unemployment. For that reason, central banks in the West, even though their inflation grew by 6 or 7-fold, they are avoiding increasing interest rates, and they are following a policy which is against the impositions that they made to us for many years. In addition, many of them have already fragile political and social lives, and these structures may not be able to overcome the unemployment crisis that may emerge. But thankfully, we have the Turkey economy model. The direction and the frame was devised by ourselves, and thanks to this policy, we were able to turn the process around. The correctness of our economy policies are acknowledged by everyone, both inside and outside, and we see signs of this being acknowledged. The measures that we have taken have started their positive impact on the daily lives of our people, and this will be more evident every month. As we have committed in the centennial of our anniversary in 2023, we will have the political and economic climate where we can proudly celebrate this important anniversary. Recently, one issue that is discussed or abused a lot is the energy prices. Turkey, when it comes to energy, is not discussing lack of power, but only discussing the price of it. And this was only possible thanks to the increase in our installed energy capacity, which we have increased from 22,000 to 100,000 megawatts. With local and renewable energy resources that we have tapped into, we have increased the number of power plants of our country from 298 to over 1,000. We have increased the length of our distribution grid to more than 1.7 million kilometers, and we have increased our overall energy generation by 4-fold. Recently, energy prices have increased all over the world, and they have increased substantially. But this is not a problem only limited to us. This is not a situation that only we are facing. At a global scale, natural gas prices have increased 10-fold, and coal 5-fold, and oil increased by 3-fold. For that reason, all over the world, there have been similar price increases much higher than we have experienced, and they are now felt in daily lives. Now, let's look at the euro level energy prices compared to the minimum wage, and let's do a comparison with European countries. I would like to present this situation to you, and I especially call on our citizens watching us in front of their screens. Our nation should look into these figures and make their decision with a reason. When we take 200 megawatts of consumption in our households among the 34 countries in Europe, Turkey is the country which is offering electricity, the third country offering the cheapest electricity to its citizens. The electricity in our country is 18 euros for 200 kilowatts. For instance, in Norway, this is 35 euros. In France, it is 45 euros. In Netherlands, 60 euros. In Belgium, 92 euros. In Germany, 100 euros. The same level of consumption, when you compare it to minimum wage in our country, we see a 5.5% ratio. In Germany, this is 6.2%, in Bulgaria 7.5%, and Czechia 10%, Romania 15%. A similar situation applies to gas as well. For 100 cubic meter consumption, Turkey bills 18.5 euro, which means it has the cheapest gas available in Europe. In Hungary, this is 30 euros and 63 in Poland. In Greece, 100 euros. In Italy, 156 euros. In Germany, 256 euros. In natural gas price compared to minimum wage, our country with a rate of 5.6% is again one of the top in terms of the most affordable price. In Hungary, this is 9%, in Greece 13%, in Germany 15.2%, and in Romania 31%. And I reiterate, the electricity and gas bills that our citizens see is of course high, but in terms of price or its correlation to minimum wage, Turkey is one of the countries which is offering the most affordable power and gas to its citizens. Last year, just for electricity, gas and oil, we have provided 165 billion of subsidies so that we can mitigate the burden that our citizens are facing during the pandemic. In other words, last year, 5,000 liras of energy subsidies have been offered to every household. The subsidy level in only these three items is similar at a similar level to the total investment spending of our country. With the new year, despite the changes in tariffs in electricity and gas, we continue supporting households. Just like we always did so far, we listen to our nation and we provide solutions for them. In the previous cabinet meeting, the 150 kilowatts of lowest tariff has been increased to 210 kilowatts in order to provide a partial ease. According to analysis, by January, 64% of consumers were able to use this low tariff, and 36% paid their bills with the higher fee tariff. In today's meeting, we discussed some new steps that can further mitigate our citizens' burden. First of all, the low tariff of up to 210 kilowatt hours and the high fee above 210 kilowatts. These tariffs will be reconsidered by relevant institutions to the benefit of our citizens. In a way to protect small shop owners, we will carry out a similar graduation as well. And For NGOs, the tariff will be converted from business to household, and by doing so, foundations or GEMES, institutions which are paying a business tariff electricity bill will see a decrease in their tariffs. As we have promised in the past with the natural gas consumption support, the steps have been completed. Social aid and solidarity foundations for 4 million households to be paid twice a year, 450 lira to 1,150 liras of natural gas support will be made available. For chronic patients and patients on life supply, for such households, an additional 5% will be added to this figure. Applications can be made in all of our 81 provinces by this Friday. In electricity support, 2.1 million household scope will be increased to 4 million households. Similarly, both the scope and the impact of our social security umbrella will be increased with an additional social support package of 15 billion, and we have given the instruction already to do so. In line with our strategy of green growth, our renewable energy sources are being used more to generate power. In wind and solar, we continue our investment with VAT exemptions and customs tax exemptions. And now we will increase the scope of this support, and for unlicensed activities which generate power from wind and solar, we will pave the way for them to use fourth region support, and by doing so, wind and solar investors will have VAT exemption and customs tax exemption and an additional 30% tax decrease and premium national security premium support for 6 years. Our goal is to provide the electricity to businesses that they need so that they can generate it by themselves and with their own means from renewable resources. This way, the competitive edge of our businesses will increase, and it will also contribute to our country's fulfillment of the Paris Climate Accord goals. We hope that this new energy support will be auspicious for our country and our businesses. The new education year has started without any problems. The vocational law for teachers has come into force by last week, which was an important demand by teachers. In the last week of December, we have made an important amendment, and we continue seeing the positive results of it. The number of students have increased from 150,000 to 350,000 in our vocational training centers, and our goal is to make this number about 1 million. To raise the qualified workforce that our industries need, these centers will contribute a lot, and we continue supporting such centers. Another point that I would like to share with you is the 1915 Çanakkale Bridge and the Malkara-Çanakkale Highway project, which will be inaugurated next week. This is a large-scale project which was carried out with an investment total of 2.5 billion euros. The 1915 Çanakkale Bridge has 80 kilometers of highway and 13 kilometers of connection roads, and in total it has a length of 100 kilometers. Kınalı, Tekirdağ, Çanakkale, Savaştepe Highway is the general project of which this is one part. With the central and side spans and viaducts, the crossing length is more than 4,000 meters on this bridge, and in its own area it is the top bridge in the world. The central span of the bridge is 2023 meters, which represents the centennial of our republic, and the steel towers represent the 1915, which is the year of the victory at Gallipoli. The height from sea level is 16 meters with a cannon figure, and the bridge is more than 300 meters in total, and in this regard it's top in the world as well. The highway project that we will inaugurate will connect Malkara to Çanakkale. It will decrease the length by 40 kilometers, and between Lapseki and Gelibolu, the crossing, which took hours with boats, will go down to a mere 6 minutes. 5,100 staff and 700 machines worked day and night in order to complete this highway and the bridge, and on 26th of February of 2022 we will open the bridge. The Dardanelles will carry this like a beautiful necklace, and this will be a solid expression of our big and strong Turkey aspirations. The 1915 Çanakkale Bridge and the Malkara-Çanakkale Highway, may it serve our country well, and I congratulate everyone who contributed to this project. I would like to also share some positive news with our farmers. As known, the agricultural loan cooperatives at the sales centers, as you know, by the beginning of the week we have made a decrease of 30% in urea and fertilizers, and in ammonium sulfate and nitropower fertilizers we will start a decrease of discount of 30% as well, in order to decrease the input cost of our citizens dealing with stock breeding. So mixed animal feed will be sold at a discount as well. Also, the payment of the red beet will be done 1 month earlier and will be paid this Friday rather than in March. Also, per ton 15 lira premium support will be paid for beet production, and the ultimate price will be announced before the harvest time. As I conclude my remarks, I would like to share good news with our students who stay in dormitories. As you know, based on their request, we have increased the 16 gigabyte internet support to 32 gigabytes with an increase of twofold. Now, for the second semester of the academic year, we will increase the food support to students in dormitories. We will increase it from 570 lira to 750 lira, which is an increase of 1/3. And by doing so, we will protect our university students from the impact of inflation. This increase in food support applies to 700,000 students who live in who stay in dormitories. And I would like to repeat our reminders about the coronavirus. The Omicron variant has caused the number of cases to increase a lot, but thankfully we did not have an increase in hospitalization rates, which challenged the system. A new medication that has been developed against the virus is being localized to offer to our citizens, and the Turcovac vaccine has been dispatched to 81 provinces. Our citizens who have not received their shots, uh, we invite them to get our own vaccine Turcovac as soon as possible. And hopefully, in the upcoming months, with the rest of the world, we will overcome this trouble eradicated from our agendas. And with such sentiments, I greet all of you once again and take care.
Bu kadar müjdeler verdik, alkış yok.